Good morning everybody, how are you doing? So it is going to be getting up to about 18 degrees today, which is insane. Even the rest of the week it's between sort of 15 and 17. So it's still very mild. I wanted to make this little video to sort of add and follow on from the one I put on yesterday. So everything is still go with everything you want to do. Feeding, weeding, mowing, scarifying, aerating, overseeding and top dressing. Everything is still go. We've still got good temperatures. The grass is still actively growing, and when it's actively growing you can do the things you need to do. It's when it slows down and stops growing that things start to become a problem. So don't feel like, oh, have I got time left? Normally, as a guideline, I would say mid-October for me is a bit of a cut-off for doing any renovation work. And I say that because once you put your seeds down, you need about 6 weeks. And same for scarifying, it's about 6 weeks for recovery, as long as it stays nice and damp. And for the seeds to come through and at least get a little bit established. So on that basis, mid-October takes you up until sort of the end of November. So your grass, your lawn is all nicely tucked in, prepared and ready by the end of November. And that is usually the point where everything's ground to a halt or very low, 7, 8, 9 degrees, sometimes 5, 4 degrees, sometimes even more or even less. Now I mentioned shady areas. Now shady areas obviously require more sunlight for the grass to thrive, and grass needs at least 3 hours every single day of sunlight to thrive. Anything less than that, and this is an approximation of course, but anything less than that, then the grass will gradually begin to fade and thin out just a little bit, and this is all dependent on how much sunlight gets into that particular area. So if you've got corners in your garden by brick walls and things like that, or overhanging trees, these are typical areas. Now when you compound that with clay soil, things become wet, shady and boggy, and then you're into more problems, aren't you, because it's thinning out and it's getting wet, and these are all going against the grass. So unless you can improve the light, unless you can improve the soil, you're going to get the same problem year after year. So you've got to look for more shade tolerant varieties of grass. You've got to look for ways to improve the soil, such as vertical drainage, ground drainage, French drainage, and just doing what you can to sort of get more light and letting the air flow nice and easily and improving the drainage. So that's that. So where do we go from here? Well, at the moment there's lots of leaves on the floor, and there's plenty more to come down yet because we're still only at the start of it. It's dipping into autumn, in and out on a regular basis, so the leaves are going to be coming off. So you need to try and keep getting those leaves off. We're getting lots of worm casts coming up as well. You can use a blower, or you can use a brush, or you can use a hose pipe to try and blast them off. But it's going to get a bit messy at times. Daniel Hibbert had a good tip using a hair comb. I don't know what type of hair comb you call it. Is it an afro hair comb or something? I haven't got a clue. I don't know what these combs are called, but I can see it in my mind. And you can slide them under, or even a garden fork, to lift off the worm casts. Slow and tedious, I know, but at least it's a way. Also, what the greenkeepers use, called a switch or a swish. It's like a long piece of sort of flexible bamboo. I've seen a guy using that to clear worm casts off his lawn, but his lawn was a firm surface, and his lawn was sandy soil, and his lawn was cut very short, so it makes it easier to swish those off. So that's possibly an option as well. Now also, this year we've had a lot of dragonflies, crane flies, etc. laying their eggs and flying around. It's been quite prolific. So that's been in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So now would be a good time to put something down for leather jackets. So leather jacket grub treatment, either nematodes, or if you are a professional company, you can use your pesticide, Acelepryn, or you can get a company to come in and apply it for you as like a one-off thing, but they will probably try and ask you to sign up to their services, but I'm sure they'll do a one-off. At least if you choose an independent lawn care company, they're more likely to do a one-off for you. So yeah, everything's still growing. We've still got weeds coming up, so feel free to get some weed killer on while it's actively growing. Continue with your fertilizers. Now also, because it's wet and warm, it's humid, so we are seeing lots of patches like light brown or pink, and they call it pink patch. And pink patch, when it becomes strong, turns into something called red thread, where you get red needles and little pink pieces of mycelium, which looks like little cotton ball balls in there. And it's all to do with the humidity. So again, scarifying and aerating will absolutely help. So the key is now scarifying and aerating I would be doing, and get some feed on. You can still verticut as well if you're doing that. So those are my tips. Keep running your mower over to get the leaves up. Try and keep on top of worm casts. Iron sulfate can help to a degree. There are some products which may help. Yeah, what's the name? The name's gone. Anyway, yeah. What else? There was something else I wanted to say. 2 secs. Just basically, what you put into a lawn is what you get out of the lawn, the pleasure that you get out of a lawn. The more things you do, the better the outcome. However, just the basics of regular mowing. If you mow more often, now don't pull a face if you're quite new to lawn care. If you mow regular, it will make a big difference to your lawn, because you're not letting it grow really long, you're not chopping all that blade of grass off, which is then taking all that energy out and away from the lawn. If you're only cutting it regular, you're only taking little bits off the top, and by doing that, the energy is still in that blade of grass, and the grass is still using that, and the grass actually prefers that. So you'll end up mowing faster because you're only taking a tiny bit off. You're hardly even filling the box. In fact, you'll probably struggle to fill a box, or even a quarter of a box. So some people are mowing every single day. Remember, you don't have to get the strimmer out every day. You can still trim just once a week, once or twice a week, however that suits you. But you can certainly mow more often, and it's not going to take you as long, and your grass is going to appreciate it more. Go grab yourself a cheap Scarifier, £69 at Screwfix or Aldi, I believe. Just go nice and steady with them, not too deep. And if you keep doing that a few times a year, spring and autumn, it will just micromanage the thatch layer in the lawn. And again, it will allow things to breathe. And as you progress further, if you want to add aeration, you can hire a machine to come and aerate the lawn in record time, or you can use a handheld lawn aerator. They're all over the place. We haven't even had them on our website. I've got my own as well. So there's lots of things you can be doing. A good Scarify and a good aerate will fix and deal with lots of problems in your lawn. So it's just something to think about. It really needs to be eventually a good staple part of the things that you do to your lawn on a regular basis. Right, I think that's about it. Enjoy autumn, and if it's wet and boggy, then try and keep off, because if you're on it, it's just going to squish and it's going to cause bubbles and water to come up, and obviously it's not good for the lawn. You're going to create little indents with your feet. So I think I've rabbited on long enough now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Have a good one.